Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Bitcoin did drop a little bit further after my last video, but we haven't made a new low yet. Pretty much looks a bit like a double bottom there, which often means that this low is going to be taken out eventually because it indicates a lot of weakness. Doesn't mean this has to happen straight away. You know, it could be that we get a bit of a bounce from here, but overall the wave count is still being respected, and the white wave count, which is preferred, which explains to us that no low has formed. Basically, it's not confirmed yet. Okay, so there is literally no evidence that a low is in, and Bitcoin has made its way closer to that next Fibonacci target area that I mentioned in the last video, between 64,300, which is the 100% extension of the A wave down. Okay, key target for a C wave that we might be working on. That's 64,300. And then, yeah, just above that, we've got 64,440. It's a 61.8 retracement. And above that, I've got the 1.38 extension at 64,500. So there are a few levels to watch there. There could be some support in that region. And then, yeah, I mean, maybe the low will be in then, okay? But please be aware, don't make those assumptions until we get some evidence. I mean, at the moment, the trend is down. You can clearly see that. So at the moment, the trend is down. That's also my default assumption. The trend is down. We go down further until I see a first piece of evidence that a low is formed. Okay, how could that look like? Well, I would need to see a first 5-wave move up from somewhere, 5-wave impulse, diagonal, whatever, from the lows. This is now, again, you know, the price is now quite deep in support. It's clearly taking the bears more and more effort to push against the bulls. So I told you, or showed you in the last video, this trend line on the daily chart, which seems to be broken, but the daily candle isn't closed. The bulls and the bears are still fighting for it. So we seem to be below the trend line, and it seems broken. Okay, bear in mind this is on the log chart. Okay, and we have 3 touch points, so that is definitely a valid trend line there. You can go to the linear chart. You can draw the trend lines in a different way. That's why I don't like them. They are a bit, you know, they are subjective, but I thought it might just be an additional level of or point of reference here on the linear chart. It's a different trend line, by the way. On the linear chart, we are still holding that. So, you know, which one is telling us the truth? I don't know. It's just that's why I mention them when I see them, but the Elliott waves are more reliable. And also the log chart. I always use the log chart when we talk about cryptos, all right? But yeah, what it means is we're still in the channel. We're still forming lower lows and lower highs. I'd be extremely careful with, you know, assuming that a low will be in after the next low. So we talk about the B wave pullback now, and this B wave is technically full with one more low, but this move down is definitely, it has some issues. Okay, I don't like the proportions of it. It doesn't look great. Okay, I could even make the case to say that, yeah, what if this was the A wave actually? What if this was the B wave? What if we're now coming down in the C wave next? And then this will be the third, right? And then we get the fourth, and then we get the fifth. So that's possible as well. And therefore, I mentioned it earlier in one of the signals I sent out to gold members that, yeah, I mean, from a proportional point of view, this actually looks better, but the other one is valid as well. So be careful not to assume a low is in until we get a first long trade setup on the smaller time frame. It's all a question of time frame. Here, I'm looking at the 30-minute chart. So, you know, this is different to someone who's zooming out, who's just trading the range. This is an intraday update on the shorter time frames. But I'll leave it as it is, and maybe what we should do, so let's leave that where it is. Yeah. We have an ABC, the third wave was a bit short, the third wave. That's the problem. The fourth is a bit massive. So for example, if the fifth wave forms one more low, I mean, that could just be the third, which is why I want to add it as an alternative wave count here. Maybe we'll highlight that in blue also to the chart, just to show there is another way. There is another way of counting the decline, because it could be here. Wave 1 instead of the white wave 1. I'll change the color in a minute. No problem. So 1 second. 3, and then could be a 4 and a 5. So it could be this, right? And I'll highlight that now in blue. Change the wave degree a little bit. So it would just be a different wave count. Oh, didn't change the wave degree. 1 second. Yeah, it's just a different. Just tells us, okay, be on your side be on the side of caution. You know, it wouldn't make a difference anyway. I mean, I'm focusing on lower until I see a first impulse. But the Elliott Wave analysis or the support and resistance levels, they give us additional levels to watch, right? What I will do as well here when we talk about these fib levels, the ones we don't need anymore, I can take out. What really matters now, I think, is the area here around the 1.38 and the 1.618 extension, 63,850 to 64,500. So, yeah, and I think that's, you know, that's what because this is an area of support cluster, Fibonacci support cluster. Also, I mean, yeah, maybe these previous swing highs, they can act as a bit of structural support, but I wouldn't really rely on that. It's more about there's an area of Fibonacci support. Bitcoin, as we speak, comes down as well. The altcoins obviously bleeding brutally today, even though Bitcoin isn't really doing much. But if we then take a look at Bitcoin dominance, which you can take a look at as well, let me open Bitcoin dominance. BTC dominance. Here we can see that Bitcoin is still holding. Okay, Bitcoin dominance is holding high still. I mean, it is, I don't know what it's doing, it's consolidating. It's still moving within this channel, or you can call it a wedge pattern. It could still push higher, no problem. It hasn't broken the trend line, and there's no reversal signal. Actually, the last pullback is in 3 waves, which technically keeps the door open for higher. That's the update about Bitcoin. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.